Are we live, chat? All right, yes, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the late start. Technical problems as usual. Would it really be a thevincedao stream without technical problems? I don't think it would. So you guys can sit there and complain about it, but the truth is, like, if the stream always worked, would you watch it? The answer is probably yes. I think actually our viewership would do much better. But still, regardless, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing a little bit of pandering to our younger audience, which is, of course, I think appropriate because I am myself Gen Z. I am young. But we got to talk about the story that is breaking the gaming world and just the internet in general right now, which is the release of the new GTA 6 trailer. And we will discuss, of course, I think the question on everyone's mind, will it be quote unquote woke? We'll go down that whole rabbit hole. But that's not all we're going to talk about tonight. We also got political news to cover. George Santos, the man, the myth, the legend himself, has been expelled from Congress. We will tell you why. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, ladies and gentlemen, but Doug Burgum, okay, the Big Bird himself, the legendary, I mean, he really was destined to become the next president. He was right this close to winning. And then for some strange and baffling reason, the great Doug Burgum has dropped out of the presidential race. So we'll be covering that tonight on the thevincedao Show. Stay tuned. And we are live tonight from the great state of Florida, where the game will take place, ironically. Gotta talk about that. It is December 4th, the year of our Lord 2023. Happy December, ladies and gentlemen. Christmas is always almost upon us. And I am your host, thevincedao. Before we begin tonight's stream, everyone right now, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new, obviously. And if you would like to support tonight's show or you want to participate in Q&A, you got questions, comments, thoughts that you want read and answered on the stream, feel free to do so via these super chats. Also, let me know if it just buffers throughout the night, because like I said, my hotspot is being very poor right now. And as we know, we can't trust the internet in this entire apartment complex. So it is just the way it is, but I think we should, I'm watching the stream right now, I think we should be good. But while I have you, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get into talking about this. I was looking, actually, I'm gonna put a very appropriate picture on the screen. Okay, there we go. All right. So as you can see here, I was looking for the lead story to cover today. And truly, I mean, I was reaching, okay? I really was reaching. And I tried to find, not just the story that I found most interesting, because I know people are going to hate me for this, but the story that is obviously trending the most in the news. And the truth of the matter is, today, the GTA 6 trailer was released, and I'm scrolling through the internet. I'm like, every political commentator even is talking about this. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be the first. We might as well do this. Let's talk about GTA 6 and its cultural implications, okay? I'm not going to bore you with, like, the gameplay or what do I think about this or that about the game. We'll talk about it a little bit, but that's not the main point here. I think the main question, and we will address it tonight on everyone's mind, is this quote-unquote going to be a woke game? But before we get into that discussion, let me rewind this 10 steps back and explain something to the people who, again, and I fully understand it, okay, are going to ridicule me for making this the lead story and, like, why are you talking about a video game for, your big thing? Well, I want people to understand this, okay? And this is why I personally decided to actually lead with this and why I think a lot of people actually do take interest, which is, and here's something for older people to understand too. To my generation, to Gen Z, to the people who grew up like we were born in either the late 90s or the early 2000s, video games were a huge part of our childhood. Many of us still play video games. I mean, me personally, I don't find I often have the time to do them, which is probably a good thing now that I'm, over the age of 18, but still, regardless. So they in many ways are, to people my age, I'm around, I'm in my early 20s, I'm actually exactly 20, it's very similar to what smartphones are to Gen Alpha, or whatever was going on in the 80s is to Gen X, right? So this is all to say that I think when you see a game as iconic as the Grand Theft Auto series, right? I grew up on this, okay? I probably started playing it too young, to tell you the truth, and maybe that's why I'm so screwed up, but still, regardless, it was a part of my childhood, okay? And I think it was a part of a lot of people's childhoods, whether you started on the 4th game or the 5th game or whatever it is, or you're one of these Gen Alpha weasels who started playing GTA Online for some reason. So this is all to say that in the same way, when they take down Bud Light, which is kind of like the iconic drink, I mean, I don't think it's very good, but the iconic drink of, like, middle-aged American men, that's a big deal. It's like a huge demoralization tactic. Or whether they take classic movies that many generations have grown up with and make a remake that's like woke and diverse, quote unquote, and all this stuff. In the same way, that's kind of a culturally significant moment in a negative direction. I do think, I mean, this game's not out yet, we're just talking about the trailer, we'll discuss it, but I do think if this game, right, a game that a lot of kids around my age grew up playing, and it turns out to A, not be very good, we'll discuss that, and B, you're talking about Grand Theft Auto, which is the most politically incorrect and edgy and, like, in many ways screwed up video game franchise that there possibly could be. You turn that and you make it about pronouns and diversity and all this stuff. There's something about that, again, for the younger viewers at least, that I would argue is important, because that's sort of a similar cultural moment, in my opinion, to what Bud Light is for older people, or to what all this different stuff is maybe for, like, older generations who see this stuff. So with all of that said, let's talk about GTA 6, okay? And let's start from the top. Now, I can't play the trailer on your screen because it's probably heavily copyrighted and there's definitely music in it. So I'm assuming, like, many of you who are interested in this topic have already seen it yourself. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Okay, so as you can probably discern, one of the three, let's start here, okay? Before we get into the pronouns, let's just start here. One of the female leads, I think there's going to be 3 characters like there was in the 5th game. One of the 3 protagonists in the GTA 6 story mode is going to be a strong female lead, right? You're going to have a female main character. Which, of course, but Vince, what's wrong with the female main character committing crimes and stuff? Well, firstly, we know what that's about. We know why they're putting a female in there. And secondly, if you want to talk about accurate representation, I'm sorry girls who are like, oh, we don't want to feel left out of narcotic trading and murder and Grand Theft Auto. But how realistically and culturally accurate is it to have a, like, crime boss that is a female? Okay? Like, how often has that actually happened in history? Does that happen? How often do you see that? You look at the prison population. I think it's like 94% of them are men, or might be too much, but the vast majority of men in prison for crimes are, obviously are men, people, I should say, in prison for crimes. So, we start there, okay? Is that necessarily a deal breaker for everyone? No, but it is pretty ridiculous, okay? Like, you just start there, okay? You're gonna have a female protagonist to Grand Theft Auto. How does that really make a whole lot of sense? But let's go further, and I think let's actually talk about the main thing everyone is discussing, which is the big rumor that's going around. Some gaming places have reported this. I don't know how true this is or is not, but it's that there will be a pronoun system in GTA 6. I don't know how the pronoun system exactly going to work. I don't know whether it's in the online you can customize your pronouns or whatever it is. Again, not exactly sure, but this has been reported. And I want to read some of these tweets. If you go on Twitter right now and search up GTA 6 pronouns, just look at the disaster that ensues. Okay? So take a look at this here. Let's just read some of these tweets. And let's also look at the profile picture while we're reading these tweets, okay? I hope GTA 6 is the wokest game ever and has pronouns. You notice? Anime profile picture. Sir Meow says, God, I hope GTA 6 multiplayer has a character creation with pronouns. It would be so effing funny. That is not an anime profile picture. That is a furry. Okay? So it seems to me that these are the type of people who are running the gaming world now, and very likely, maybe not these exact people, but the type of people who are also employed in the creation of this game. So here you go. Mika Trans Flag says he or she wants to be able to choose char pronouns in GTA 6 online mode. You go on, you basically get the idea. Pronouns this. I hope GTA 6 you can customize Lucia's hair and pronouns. This is, of course, you know, the most important thing to them, and there has been news, there have been reports that this is going to be the case, okay? So, strike two for this game. It is what it is. So, is GTA 6 very likely going to be a quote-unquote woke game? Probably so, okay? And again, like I said, whether or not you care about it, whether or not you care for GTA, I think it is important to point out, again, in the same way with Bud Light, like they took something that's historically a part of this subset of American culture and destroyed it. If this is a video game, arguably, I would say overall, probably the most popular video game with my generation of all time, then that's a part of the whole thing there. Biggest thing for me, though, okay, the biggest thing for me for this game, and why, I mean, will I play it? I honestly don't know. I don't even have the time really to play video games anymore these days, but I think the woke surface stuff, and this is the same thing with Hollywood, the woke things you are seeing on the surface, whether that's the pronoun system or the female lead character or whatever, they're the tip of the iceberg, but the true flaw with it all, besides the cringe, is actually the fact that I have severe doubts whether the game's actually going to be any good, besides from this part. Reason being, you watch the trailer, it looks, you know, visually it's amazing. The map, you know it's going to be great. Okay, that's a pretty hard thing to screw up when you just have the technology to do it. But I seriously doubt that Rockstar Games in its current capacity, by the way, if you're curious, by what I mean by that, look up a picture of like the staff now on Rockstar Games, and you can kind of see, you know what I mean? That I really doubt that Rockstar Games these days is capable of actual good storytelling. That's my biggest doubt about the whole game, okay? So part of me wants to play just to explore the map and stuff, but also I really do get the feeling the story is going to absolutely suck. And that will be the first GTA story that truly sucked, right? Because most of the games, some story modes have been better than others. They're always good. I don't think that's going to be the case with this one at all. I think this is going to severely underperform and flop because not only do you have diversity on the screen, but you have quote-unquote diversity and affirmative action now running the company. And as you see in Hollywood, as you see with all the other video games, as you see with like everything that is mainstream or highly produced on the planet these days, at least in the United States, again, you can throw out all this diversity stuff and it makes some people really happy. It pisses off a lot of people like us. But the core is that our culture as a whole, at least the mainstream institutions in this culture, have lost the ability for good storytelling. And yes, me, I think that is going to be the biggest shortcoming if I were to predict of this game. Okay? And that's what I always used to enjoy about the GTA games. It wasn't just like, oh, you know, carjacking or whatever it is. It was actually that, and like, call me weird or whatever, but truly, a lot of these games, especially the one I first played was GTA 4, actually started off telling like a highly sophisticated story that was like deep and layered and just good. I don't think that's gonna be the case with this at all. Okay, and I know people will say, oh, just play the online. Who the heck cares about GTA 5 story mode? We're clearly not Gen Alpha. I know I sound like an old man, even though I'm not, but clearly not like you kids who grew up the first GTA game you played, everyone was already on the online mode, okay? For people like us, we actually appreciated these games for the story and the artistic masterpiece they were, and that's not going to be the case in this game. So, you know, there's kind of my preliminary thoughts on GTA 6. I think when you actually, watch the trailer, it looks great, but I think what you can also kind of detect, what is the story of this game going to be? It sounds like the dialogue itself sounds very shallow and cliche, and honestly, I think that's going to be the case of this game. So, you know, people wanted me to talk about it. Some people didn't. There's my thoughts on GTA 6. I think it goes deeper than, oh... Okay, how are we doing now? I just switched on the Wi-Fi, because it's funny, the hotspot is, like, basically just as unreliable as the Wi-Fi itself, so... Is it working better now? Doesn't seem like it. All right, well, that's great. That's fantastic.